All right, it's on to the back half here of the program tonight. Live at Fort Collins, the Coors Light CSU basketball.
I've been called the back half plenty in my life, too. Thank you very much.
The second half of the program, Tim. I don't want to hurt your feelings.
No, I got called back half the other night by my sister.
Did you?
The bottom half.
The bottom half, that's right. The forgettable half?
Yeah, exactly.
Colorado State split some games here this week. A big road win at TCU, 69-55, and then a tough loss at home against UNLV, 68-61 on Saturday. Rams now 18-8. They're 8-4 overall, and again, we're here, packed house, and the women's basketball team in its entirety is here.
Awesome.
And
they're all smiling and eating and having a great time.
Do they not brighten up a room? Or
they
what?
do. They do great. I wish that's the one thing you miss is, we play opposite, like at identical times, and you miss that. I grew up as a small college guy and a D2 guy. We played double headers. Travel with the women, and the bus smelled a lot better.
I don't doubt that at all. Colorado State goes on the road. That win at TCU, it's a game we've talked about. It's sandwiched between two big home games. And, you guys came out and did what you needed to do, a big run to open up the second half to kind of take control.
Well, yeah, we were sloppy the first half with our ball handling, and that was disappointing. But I thought that, we were pretty good defensively all night, and that's always nice. And then once we just had a nice little 5 or 6 minute run where we separated and got up 14 and kind of seesawed from 14 to, I think, 7 or 8 and back up to 10 or 12 and ended up 14 again. So you have to commend the guys on a good win. Greg Smith had a career night. Andy Ogaday was great the last 15 minutes. Pierce Horning was tough on the boards. We were great on the defensive glass.
Can you empathize a little bit with TCU? They've had to, again, suspend a couple of their players, kick one of their players off.
Yeah, been there, done that, right?
I know, exactly. And again, you're not going to give up any wins at the expense of another team, obviously. You're going to take all the wins you can get. But do you kind of feel for Coach Christian and TCU? Now that you're done playing them, I guess.
Yeah, I don't feel sorry for anybody. But,
sure.
But at the same time, I understand his situation, and I commend him for stepping up and saying, hey, this isn't tolerable, Ronnie Moss. And I also commend Ronnie Moss for not quitting. Yeah. He could go, and he still got a red shirt available. He can go transfer, go to another. He didn't. He's there in street clothes cheering on his team, and that's a awkward position to be in when the guys out there, getting their brains beat in, are looking at one of their best players in street clothes because of behavior, and so that's an awkward. But he's, hey, he's there, and I think that's a good position for all of those guys. I think they'll grow because of that.
Yeah, talked about the performance of Greg Smith. 19 points. It was a career high, Tim. He had his second career double-double to go with the 10 rebounds and the 19 points.
Yeah, Greg was really good, and we saw him, again, just training up and getting better and better and better every time out. And I'm impressed with Greg that way. And he had a great practice today. We just missed the day on Saturday. But, when you look at that sophomore class with Wes, Dorian, Pierce, Greg, when Jesse, I think, is a very capable player, shown a capable player, just still hasn't kind of got his mojo back. That's a heck of a sophomore class. We're excited to build on that class in the future. Yeah,
Pierce Hornung with 13 rebounds in just 21 minutes of work. I mean, that's starting to become the norm with Pierce. And in fact, my mom and dad came up to the game on Saturday, and my mom, who doesn't know a lot about basketball, came away saying, I love that number 4.
Yeah.
Everybody that
moms
watches
love Pierce. That's moms love Pierce.
But even she can notice the intensity and effort that he brings to the floor every night. And I think I told you last week on this show, I wish he could be on the team for the next 10 years because I love watching that kid play. I mean,
Pierce is
unbelievable.
You said it all, really, and I concur 100%. Pierce is a dream to coach. His effort is there, and he works at his skill level, so he feels more and more comfortable with his skill set, too, and that kind of ebbs and flows. We get that with peaks and valleys, and Pierce is only going to get better. I mean, just as his skill improves, his scoring is going to improve. The effort's never going to leave him. The ability, the nose for the basketball, and the grit and the toughness are never going to leave him. So I just see him being more and more and more productive.
Yeah, is that something where this offseason, that mid-range jumper, you just have to work on him with that?
And sometimes I always say you're as responsible as required of you. And Pierce doesn't feel a heavy burden to score or anything like that because he knows there's all those other guys looking out to score, like Travis, Andy, all those guys. But he's very capable and crafty with the ball, and I just think he feels like it's it's easier for him to stay in the background right now, and that's kind of his nature too. That's why he's such a good teammate.
Yeah, if he could step out and hit his 16, 17, 18-foot shot, he doesn't necessarily have to have three-point range, but if he could step out, well, he would be a really dynamic player because he can really get to the hole and slash.
Yeah.
So, well, Colorado State set up with that win against TCU, a huge matchup on Saturday. We'll talk about that big game with the Running Rebels when we come back. We have Tim Miles in the house here at the Beach House Grill. We continue on Nelligan Sports and the Colorado State Sports Network. Welcome back to the Coors Light CSU basketball show. We're at Beach House Grill in Old Town, Fort Collins. You can join us every Monday night here at 125 South College Avenue in Old Town. It's Mondays from 6 to 7 for the Coors Light CSU basketball coaches show. Just one program coming up left here this year. It's going to be next Monday, so get up to Fort Collins and over here to the Beach House Grill next Monday night from 6 to 7 to talk some Colorado State Rams hoops. Brian Roth back with you. Head coach Tim Miles joining us. Huge game on Saturday night as Colorado State and UNLV clashing for the second time this year, and another sellout at Moby. That place was rocking on Saturday night.
It's really a special place, isn't it? I mean, that crowd was unbelievable, and they did their best to help us out. And I joke all the time, we're becoming the Chicago Cubs right in front of my eyes. I mean, get this great fan base that loves you and then let them down right at the end. And so we've got to change that around right away.
What did you think of the contest? It was a physical affair in that first half, and then in the second half, UNLV hit 7 threes, and they came in as the worst shooting team of the Mountain West.
They're 5 for 50 at that point, you know, and their previous 50 shots, they made 5 of them from the three-point line. And it's like, they tell you, I have a coaching minor. So I took classes for coaching when I was in college. They don't offer those anymore, And I remember one time one of our coaches said, who do you pitch to? Do you pitch to the guy that's 5 for 5, or do you pitch to the guy that's 0 for 20? And we're all like, pitch to the guy who's over 20. He goes, no. Pitch to the guy. It's odds are that guy's going to get out. He's not going 6 for 6. And odds are the guy over 20 is going to, he wouldn't be there if he wasn't any good. So he's in the lineup. So you don't pitch to that guy. And that's kind of a epitome of what happened, is that they just at a point where, they were sharp, they were moving, and it was time to stop missing. And I just thought UNLV approached that game like they knew what it was going to take to win the game. And I think our guys, and I didn't do a good enough job addressing it. I thought we took an approach to the game like what we're doing is good enough, and I really hope we win this game. And UNLV was going to will that victory, and you have to commend them. It was really physical. I thought that worked against us. Usually it doesn't work against us. But UNLV is the foulingest team in the Mountain West. They foul more than anybody. So you should destroy them in a home game on the foul line. It should be 38 foul attempts to 17 foul attempts or something like that. I don't know what the stat line was, but there was not much of a margin there, I don't think.
Now you guys shot 3 more free throws.
Yeah, and they were the foulingest team. And so that's one of the things that it hurts you. But at the same time, that's kind of what happens this time of year. Right? It gets more physical, so you have to adapt. And I just thought that we had a few guys that had bad games on offense, and they let that affect their defense and their rebounding and their hustle plays. Yeah,
and early in the game, I think 3 charges went against you guys in the first 6 or 7 minutes, and one of them
was 4 minutes 15 seconds.
It was it.
Count.
Okay, there you go. Travis Franklin was at least 1, maybe 2 of them. And
yeah, Greg had 1.
He kind of got taken out of the game early, and I thought maybe lost a little confidence, and ends up not attempting a single official shot.
Yeah, he went up for 1, and they tied him up, made it a jump ball, or called a travel on him, I guess, as he landed. And Travis had a tough night, no doubt about it. But I would expect Travis is going to rebound and play better against BYU.
All right, we'll talk more about that game with UNLV and look ahead as we continue here tonight from the Beach House Grill in Old Town Fort Collins. From Nelligan Sports, the Colorado State Sports Network. All right, back here in Old Town Fort Collins at the Beach House Grill.
You notice there's no clapping, right?
I know. There's no cheering from the
We just lost 3/4 of the crowd to the Bachelorette. That's what's going on. The Bachelorette is more important than the Rams basketball show. That's a little hurtful.
And as they're walking out the door and you're asking that question, they're all nodding.
Yeah, and I'm sure it's the final episode, though, so I'm sure it's they're delivering a rose or whatever the Bachelorette delivers.
I got suckered into the Bachelorette last summer, I think, by my wife.
Greatest compliment I ever had. I was at the Final Four in wherever it was last, Indianapolis. And, coaches, they get there. It's like spring break for coaches. So you get there, you shower up, put on your Axe, get on your best blue jeans and a nice little top, and you bound out the door, and you're going to go meet your friends for maybe a few drinks and dinner and all that stuff. And I come out the door, I'm walking in front of a bar, just like you'd be in Old Town, right in front of the Beach House Grill. And this gal comes bounding out, about 35 years old, Coach Miles, and all of a sudden her husband's trailing her. And she goes, "Oh, I watch Reaching the Peak every week, and this, that, and the other thing, and I love the show." Bob, she goes on talking about Travis, talking about Andy. Andy won't pass unless, the whole knife thing. She knew, chapter and verse. And her husband ends up with, she even skipped The Bachelorette to watch your final episode.
That's when you know you.
There are people out there that do like our show better than The Bachelorette. Not many, but
not many. But
they're from Arkansas.
That's right. Well, it is a good show. Reaching Peak is a good show. When's the new episode coming out? Did it come out last week? Or?
No, I don't know.
Okay.
I think we had a new episode last week.
Okay.
So I think it's every other week. It's so it's UNLV women.
Yeah, that's
week.
right.
Yep.
That's right. Well, the Rams lose 68-61 to UNLV. Obviously an important game, but I know you don't look at it as the end of the world. It's now
body work.
IT
body
plans.
work. That's what every coach is saying. It's a body work. It's a resume. It's a disappointing loss because a win. You know what a win does for you. The opportunity for a win, and you also know that you need big wins. And we have 3 of our last 4 games on the road, and it's tough to win on the road. So that's the disappointing part. But the reality is this. We've talked all the time about 11 wins, 3rd place on our own. I think UNLV could get in the tournament without 11 wins and be in 3rd place, but I don't know if Colorado State can. And I told our guys, let's say we have 10 wins. I don't know. It's hard to tell, but it's hard to say, we're going to win this game for sure. There's no game we're going to win for sure. You look at Utah just wins at the Pit. We've never done that. Air Force at home is a tough team. Had San Diego State down 7 late in the first half, still down in the second half with about 14, 13 minutes to go. There's all kinds of, and then plus the 2 big hitters, right? So who knows what's going to happen? But here's what I told our guys. I thought that if we went 11 wins, we had a really strong case for an at-large berth going into the Mountain West tournament. And I said 10 wins, a lot of things got to go right, And so that was why we changed our goal from 10 to 11, because we weren't able to win those home games. But if we can get to 11, and we have 4 games left, so if we're at 8, so we still have a chance. I think that's really a strong resume going into the Mountain West tournament without even playing a game there. Not even talking about what we got to do there, because that'll be in 2 weeks, and that'll be a different story. We'll know then what we think we have to do. So. That's our goal. We're sticking with it, and we'll stick with it until next week. And if we win 2 this week, we're going to try and get 4. And if we win 1, we're going to try and get 3. So we'll just see how it goes.
I think where you sit now, if you get to 11 regular season conference wins, and then you win a first-round game, I think you will, because that means one of those wins would come against a top 5 RPI team at San Diego State and BYU, and it would happen on the road. So certainly easier said than done, but it's certainly the opportunity.
None of them are going to be. A lot of people say, "Oh, you'll beat Utah and you'll beat Air Force and you'll lose to those guys." Well, I don't buy losing to those guys. I don't buy winning at those places. You just can't operate in life like that. You go out and compete your butt off and see what happens and find a way to win that game.
Before we move ahead. Don Meyer, all-time winningest coach in college basketball. He was at the game. I had him on at halftime, and it was an absolute thrill. He analyzed the entire first half, and I was
why didn't you write him down and hand it to me?
I was begging him to stay with me at the second half. He'd be a great color analyst. But kind of talk about the relationship he has with you. Randy Baruth coached with him at Northern State. That is a great basketball mind to have on your side. Yeah,
well, it started in 98 or 99. Don took the head coaching job at my alma mater, where I got my grad school, Northern State in Aberdeen, South Dakota, which was our league rival. And the guy that hired him, the guy that retired, was my head coach, who I was an assistant coach under, Bob Olson, for 6 years. Craig Smith was there with him for 1 or 2 years. And, I talked extensively about Bob, about the job, who are good candidates, stuff like that. And when he told me he had a chance to hire Don, it was a no-brainer to hire Coach Meyer. Then we competed against each other, which was really fun. Coach was always one of those guys that just made you do enough foolish things that you're like, I can't coach for anything. You know, I mean, they sub every dead ball and everything like that, and they're really difficult to go against. And in the meantime, Randy Baruth, who I hired, Randy was my graduate assistant at North Dakota State. When I left Southwest, I went to North Dakota State. We still played Northern all the time. We were D2s. And then Randy left me and became his assistant for 5 years, so we got even closer. And Don was just always really good. He's a great coach, very simple-minded about this is the way we're going to do it. He's got a quote up that Vic Braden said, who's a tennis coach. Just excellence is hitting the same old boring forehand winners time after time after time after time. And we try and philosophically try and do some things that are pretty boring, but that our guys need to understand how we're going to do business. And that's important. So Don has been coming out now since he's retired. He'll spend time watching practice or coming out watching games. And it was kind of cute the other night. You know, after the game, the guy has lost his leg in a car accident. If you've read his story or paid attention to any college basketball, you know his story. He's the all-time winningest college basketball coach. During his last year, he was in a car accident where he lost his leg, almost died, almost lost his life. When they removed his spleen, they found cancer all over him, in his liver, on his gallbladder, just everywhere. And he's been living with cancer and treating that now for 2 years, all the time recovering from the infection of losing a leg and everything that goes with a fatal car accident that breaks every one of your ribs. And so coached later that year from a wheelchair and set the record. And so he's been out here, and he's always really good. And one thing he told me this year that was last year, he says, next year you're going to be good, but you guys have to buy in a substitution. And I thought that
every dead ball.
Yeah, exactly. We can't do it like that. And I get confused. And he was right. One of the biggest problems we had earlier this year were guys kind of feeling like they weren't getting a rhythm or they didn't know their role or whatever it might be. And that's just like all of a sudden, ding, there goes the light bulb. I remember exactly where he told me where I was standing. I even wrote it down and didn't apply it then. But in that meeting, when I was talking to the guys individually, I'm like, I know exactly. And he was right on. He saw that coming a mile away, because he saw Wes and Jesse kicking the crap out of our guys on scout team, and he knew that Dorian was going to have to share, and those other guys were going to have to figure out that was just one area of a guard rotation. And so Don's really good. He watched the game the other night. The cute stories after the game. Here he is. On his leg, kind of tired. You can tell it's late at night. He's tired. I'm like, Coach, how you doing? He goes, I'm wore out, man. He goes, I'd like to say the game wore me out, but I met your sisters, and they wore me out. And I'm like, I'm the quiet one in the family, man. Those sisters are killers.
You're kidding.
No, I'm not kidding.
You're the quiet one in the family.
And he's right. It's just amazing.
They didn't say.
I hope they're listening. They were here all weekend. I need a nap from them.
That's funny. All right. Well, hey, it was a thrill to meet Coach Meyer, and that guy knows a ton about basketball.
Yep.
Again, the all-time winningest college basketball coach was in the house on Saturday night. All right, timeout. We're running behind. We'll talk about the upcoming week. It's an important one for CSU. Back after this here at the Beach House Grill from Milligan Sports and the Colorado State Sports Network. All right, final segment on the program here tonight, talking Colorado State men's hoops from the Beach House Grill here in Old Town Fort Collins. We'll stay with the CSU Rams Day, and you can score big on exceptional accommodations at the Fort Collins Marriott, Fort Collins Courtyard, and the Fort Collins Residence Inn. Be sure to ask for that CSU fan rate. So Colorado State at 18-8, they're 8-4 in conference play. They sit at third place still. They have a half-game lead over UNLV. The RPI, though, drops down to 47. Did you think you'd drop that far?
Yeah, we lost. And we lost at home, and losing at home is never good. So even to a good team. So I guess it didn't surprise me. But you kind of get to a certain point in the RPI where it's hard to move up and it's real easy to move down, and that's where we're at. So we'll have to grind our way and see if we can work our way back up.
Rams will be on the road in Provo on Wednesday night to date with 7th-ranked BYU. Cougars at 25-2. They're 11-1 in conference play. Cougars knocked off the Rams 94-85 in the first meeting. And are you ready to answer a bajillion Jimmer Fredette questions now?
Yeah, well, he's good. He's somebody. One of my assistants said today, I think he's coming back down to earth. He's only averaged, blah 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 a game. I'm like, he still leads the country in scoring. So so he's not in a different universe anymore. He's back down to earth. Still one of the best college basketball players on earth. And so he's good, and we'll have to do a better job. What we did the second half is what you'll see us do. Hopefully we just don't send him to the foul line 28 times because we sent him 14 in the second half. And but we're going to go out and be physical with him and try and wear him out a little bit and see what we can get done.
Yeah, Fredette had 23 against TCU on Saturday. 5 straight sub-30 games for him.
Yeah,
Talking about
he's terrible.
plummeting back to earth.
Yeah.
He's actually
no good.
He's averaging 31 points per game in Mountain West Conference games. Only, and again, as Tim said.
And of course, Jimmer, I'm just joking.
That's right.
I'm sure he's listening.
27 a game over the course of the season for Jimmer Fredette. So does that mean we'll see Dwight Smith then on
definitely.
Wednesday?
Dwight will be introduced. And, not in the starting lineup, but to Jimmer. Sure. And, he'll get a crack at him. There's no question about it.
And after that first meeting, and Dwight came in and played well, I thought, defensively. I imagine he's relishing an opportunity.
And defense hadn't been the issue with us, really. I mean, we played pretty good defense until UNLV got on that stretch in the second half. And still in the second half, I don't know what they shoot from the field, their percentages. I mean, our defense really the last 6-7 games have been pretty decent. I think they shot
52% in the second half.
52% and 25% the first. And so you feel like you're doing okay defensively. And so Dwight hasn't got the crack, but he's going to get his crack against Jimmer.
Do you do anything different against BYU as a whole defensively? I mean, they had 55 first-half points. They ended up with 94. And now it looks like some of their other players are starting to help Jimmer out a little bit.
Yeah, they're good, and am I promising you they're going to score less points? I don't know. Every time I do that, it seems to backfire. So, we're going to go out and try and do the best job we could. That game was quite a shootout, and certainly we'd rather control tempo on the road and have a little bit longer offensive possessions, make them have to have a little bit longer offensive possessions. We got to get the ball inside to Andy. They're going to double Andy and just sell out on the doubles, so we got to have good ball movement out of the low post against traffic and double teams. Hopefully we'll be ready to go.
20,000 plus expected at the Marriott Center.
22.7. They've told me it's sold out.
Is it sold out? Okay.
I think they want some of our allotment of tickets. They gave us like 50, and they're like, hey, can we have about 25 of those?
No.
Yeah, we're not giving them to them.
Your basketball team has been good on the road, though, this year. So I imagine you have to feel pretty good with the way that your club has fared on the road to this point.
Yeah, I think we'll compete. I'm not afraid to go anywhere with this team. I like them. We're all disappointed about Saturday night, but one game doesn't define us. Just like when we play great against somebody, that doesn't mean we're all that good. I mean, we'll be ready to compete. I don't think there's any question about it. And nobody's beat them at home.
Yeah.
So, I mean, somebody's got to. It might as well be us.
Yeah, and one thing that we talked about with BYU before the first game is their ability to go on scoring runs and scoring spurts. And they did it to TCU at the end of the first half on Saturday. I imagine that'll be a big key. You can't give up any big runs.
Yeah, I think the way to beat them is to play from in front. The reason I know that is because we've never played from in front before. So that was funnier than I'm getting credit for, too.
I liked it. Yeah. I liked it.
It's just a sad reality. Everyone's like shaking their head. He's right. Yeah. They've never had those guys.
Pretty much. Then Air Force coming up on Saturday. I know you're not thinking about the Falcons at all, but
they're good.
They are. And if Ram fans are chalking that up as a victory, I mean, think again, you're going to have to play well.
They're a top 100 RPI team in the country, and you don't always go on the road and beat a top 100 team in the country. It's difficult to do, and so we'll just see if we can, But you have to credit Jeff Reynolds, the job he's done with that group. They're a team that's matchup zone, and then they test your defensive patience, your defensive discipline with their Princeton offense.
The matchup zone, you guys struggled from three-point range. You were 5 of 26 in that
was the first game without Wes.
Yeah, first game without Wes. Obviously, that makes a big difference. One of the top scorers for you. Did you feel like you got good shots and they just weren't going, or did you feel like they forced you into that 19%?
I thought that I'm trying to remember, actually. So I think we stunk. And then I was mad, and then we played better. And then we won at the end, and I was happy. So there it is. That was the whole night for me. All right. I don't know. That's just kind of what's in there.
And then with Air Force, obviously, you guys should have the advantage in the middle, though. And I know that's always any game you guys are going to go pounded in the middle, but that obviously will be the case coming up.
That's our same boring winner.
On Saturday as well. All right. Well, hey, looking forward to it. And, it's an opportunity on Wednesday night. I know your kids are looking at it that way to get back into NCAA hunt.
Both those games are going to be huge, and hopefully we can find a way to win both. We know it's It's going to be tough, but
Yeah.
we're ready for it.
Okay. Hey, best of luck coming up on Wednesday. We'll see you at the airport coming up tomorrow.
I'll be there, baby.
All right. That's the coach, Tim Miles. And, hey, it's a big game coming up on Wednesday, 6 p.m. start time. We're going to be on the air at 5:30, so tune in to all the stations across the network. Thanks to Kristen Holt. Thanks to Haley Thompson, Ram freshman. Charlie Grimes back at Master Control. Bob Greenfield, our engineer, for a great